Hey everybody, we're going to talk about culture shock today. Culture shock is something that I'm sure all of you have experienced, and today we're going to talk about some vocabulary, and we are going to talk about, we are going to read a passage or a paragraph together about culture shock and talk about the vocabulary or the words within that paragraph that you might not know, you might not be familiar with. We're going to start with the word honeymoon. Traditionally, honeymoon is, it means when a man and a woman get together and they get married. They decide that right away they want to go someplace really nice, say like a beach somewhere, maybe on an island, and they want to share their excitement and their love for each other um, in a honeymoon. And this is just a new period for them. They're, married, everything's new, they've got their whole life ahead of them. It's similar with culture shock, but the honeymoon phase in culture shock um, means, think back to when you first came to America and everything was new, all the signs in English and that you couldn't really understand, and all the people that looked so different, and they were doing things and saying things that you didn't understand, and um, this is the honeymoon period, but at the same time you were so excited, things were new, and you're really happy to be here in America. Um, I'm sure most of you have experienced that, but that would be known as the honeymoon period, or phase. The second word that I want to talk about is frustration. To be frustrated with something is to be very upset or even very sad. Um, Frustration is something that you might feel in the honeymoon period. Um, when you want to communicate, you want to say something and you can't say it because you just don't have the words. That is frustration, that feeling that you felt. And that's the best way I could describe it. Um, the next word I'd like to go over is frequently. And this is a word, it's known as an adverb of frequency, which we won't really go into, but I'll try and give you a little bit of a breakdown. We are going to have a further lesson on this, but these are adverbs of frequency. So, say you have never here, and then you have not very often, sometimes, frequently, the word we want to know, and always. Never. I never leave my wallet at home. I am never going to leave my money or my license or my credit card at home. I never do that. But not very often is a little different from that. It's a little bit more often than never. So not very often do I mow the lawn. You only mow the lawn at certain times of the year. When it's snowing out, you're not going to go mow the lawn. So you don't mow the lawn very often. Not very often. And then you have sometimes. I sometimes shower in the morning. I sometimes shower at night. It depends how I feel. If I want to do that in the morning, maybe sometimes I will. And then we have frequently. So frequently is used a little more than sometimes. Frequently. I frequently go grocery shopping. So this means, say you go grocery shopping 2 to 3 times a week. That's very frequently. That is more than sometimes. And that is definitely more than not very often, because you're going pretty often. You're going frequently to the store to buy your food. And one step above that would be always. I always lock my front door at night. You want to feel safe and secure in your home? I lock my front door. A lot of people do. And it's likely that you always lock your front door. So these are known as adverbs of frequency. But frequently is the one we're going to see in our passage. The next word that I wanted to go over is fatigue. Fatigue is a feeling of you're just so tired. Say you're going to school and you're going to work and you're going to school again and going to work again, and it's every day you're doing this and you're running around, and it just makes you feel bad after a little while. Just so tired that you don't really feel like doing anything. You don't feel like going back to work. You don't want to go out. You're just so tired. So it's kind of like this guy who he's so tired, he's so fatigued that he doesn't want to get up out of his chair. He just wants to lie here, and maybe his muscles are sore, his back's hurting him. He's just really tired on top of that. He's fatigued. So he's not going to want to get up anytime soon. He's going to continue to sit in that chair. And it's also like this guy here, who he is so tired. He looks like he had a long night. And it looks like he's back at work the next day, but he doesn't look all that professional, does he? But he's got a cup of coffee in his hand, and he looks really tired. If you see his eyes too, he's fatigued. He's just very, very tired. So the last thing that I want to talk about, the last word you'll see, is gestures. Now, gestures are done by people from all different backgrounds around the world. If you take a Japanese bow, when you bow like this, it is very different, the meaning of a Japanese bow versus an American bow. In Japan, when somebody bows, it could mean many things. It's likely that it means that the person is giving thanks to another person. They're saying thank you by bowing. They could be saying that they're sorry. They could be apologizing with their bow. Or they could simply be saying hello or goodbye. But in America, when somebody bows, it's usually after a show or a concert, some form of entertainment. And say if you go to a theater and you see people up on a stage doing a play, they're acting in a play. At the very end of the play, they all get together and they hold hands and they all bow. And it's just a way of saying thank you for coming to watch our show. So these gestures, and in America too, giving a thumbs up, giving a high five, these are hand gestures that you will often see, and you will have to know at some point. But why don't we go ahead and read that passage now, and you can ask me if you have any questions at the end. Thank you.